Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 8th of March, 2025. Coming up this episode of the Crusty Podcast, 348, Tariffs, Tantrums, and Election Fraud. Interesting facts that have come to our attention in the past couple of days. Oh my goodness. Listener and viewer discretion will be advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, and make fun of the powers that be, as always. Ha 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 ha. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Oh, yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck Podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 348, Tariffs, Tantrums, and Election Fraud. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Hope all is well. This podcast is also brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans for Freedom Network. That's right, Stand 2, Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, Veterans for Freedom TV, like-minded individuals such as myself and other veterans. Hopefully we'll be together in a network so you can catch all our podcasts in a decent time. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and hope all is well. My apologies last night. I was supposed to have this episode up, had to cancel it, had some issues with this schnib here. It was kept feeding back. I looked at the cords, looked at my soundboard, dusted it, cleaned it. I don't know what the issue is. Maybe I need a new microphone. We'll have to see. Time will tell. Anyway, as the title card said, Tariffs, Tantrums, and Election Fraud. I'll be getting to that momentarily. If you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this podcast all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a thumbs up. Give me comments. And if you see this premiered on the Tube or Rumble, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Just let me know where you're from, just so I get a consensus of who is watching this show. Anyway, carrying on. So tariffs have been on hold again. Another pause, another political drama. We all know what tariffs are going to do. They're going to screw our American friends, and they're going to screw our Canadian friends and screw each other over and over again without even them having the common courtesy of lubrication. But I'm digressing. Anyhow, make a long story short, it's not good. Okay. Now, when you look at these individuals that have said they're going to stand up for Canada and do all these wonderful things, once again, I will remind you all too, where were these clowns when we needed our leadership a few years back? Eh? Let me know if you can hear crickets too in the comments. Anyhow, nowhere. Okay. Now, tomorrow, Sunday, right? We have to put our clocks ahead another hour. So we all lose an hour of sleep. Oh, my goodness. That kind of pisses me off because I have to be up at 4. So technically I'll be up at 3. Anyhow, make a long story short, we'll have a new prime minister, a new de facto insert prime minister come tomorrow. Now, and also happy International Women's Day out there. Not that it really matters because I personally know women that don't give a shit. And I'm not saying you shouldn't give a shit either, but in the same sense, it's just another day, like a birthday is like a holiday. But anyway, happy International Women's Day. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm just sick and tired of the hype. Okay. And, well, I might do another episode on something like that later in the future. But it's been brought to my attention. It's come to my attention today. Rebel Media did a great story on a possibility of certain election tampering or fraud. Now, according to Rebel Media, so many hundreds of thousands of people signed up to vote for the new Liberal leader, and only 2/3 of them were counted, or there wasn't 2/3 counted. Anyway, long story short, I will put a video up here, and you decide, ladies and gentlemen. Does it sound familiar? Is it familiar territory? Who knows? But this is Sheila Gunn Reid from Rebel News. And I like Rebel. Contrary to the popular belief, I do like Rebel, I like True North. I like Candace Malcolm's new platform in regards to getting independent media out there too. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to decide, right? 2/3 of the Liberal leadership voters disqualified. So that's an interesting. Why are their votes disqualified? Were they fake? Were they illegitimate? Who knows? But I'll leave the captions on for you to decide. Yeah.
What level of corruption is going on in this Liberal leadership race? 250,000 of 400,000 registered voters have been disqualified by the party. The Liberal Party's almost entirely online leadership voting process is turning into a banana republic style scandal on the eve of the vote, hinting at backroom deals, voter suppression, and maybe even foreign interference. Elections Canada, the RCMP, and CSIS need to audit this process immediately. Demand transparency and sign the petition at auditcarney.com. Now, here's what we know. The Liberal Party initially boasted about signing up nearly 400,000 members to vote for its next leader. Now, according to the party, only about 150,000 of those registered members have been approved to vote, meaning a shocking 250,000 people have been disqualified. The Liberals turfed outsider leadership candidate Ruby Dalla for vague campaign finance issues and an allegation about a foreign national working on her campaign. But in the meantime, they've conveniently kept all the money she brought in and seem perfectly fine with endorsements from Obama-era Democrat staffers. If almost 2/3 of the registered voters were silenced, was this really an election at all, or just a pre-planned coronation for Mark Carney? Now, who were the 250,000 silenced voters? If the party proudly announced 400,000 registered voters on January 30th, 2025, why were 2/3 disqualified by March 7th, 2025, just hours before the convention? Were they fake accounts, bots, cats and dogs, or foreign nationals? If so, why did the Liberals allow them to register in the first place? Was it to brag about the numbers? Were they real Liberal supporters who just failed some arbitrary verification process? If so, why wasn't that process made transparent to anyone? And what was that process? Or more disturbingly, were these just people the party feared wouldn't vote for Mark Carney? If the Liberals control who gets a ballot, then they control who becomes the Prime Minister. And that should alarm every Canadian, Liberal or not. We already know the fix is in for Mark Carney. He's a private citizen at this point with no seat in the House of Commons, and yet he was given a secret government briefing on U.S. tariffs by Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly when no other candidate received one. They already know who's going to win, whether the voters want him or not. Now, this is the same Liberal playbook we've seen for years. Silence voices that don't fit the agenda, suppress information that exposes their corruption, hide the information that might expose their corruption, and manipulate the processes to maintain control. This isn't just about a party leadership race. Whoever wins this is automatically the next Prime Minister of Canada. This means every Canadian, not just Liberal Party members, should be demanding answers. We know the Chinese government meddled in the last two federal elections in favor of the Liberals. And the vulnerabilities in the Liberal nomination processes and the leadership process were laid bare for all of us to see in the Foreign Interference Commission. And none of those vulnerabilities were addressed by the Liberal Party.
Could have a situation here in Canada where a Prime Minister resigns from office, the registered political party conducts an election for the leader. That election, if subject to the same kind of rules that some of the parties have outlined here today and yesterday at the Commission, would result in the appointment of a Prime Minister who does not have a seat in the House of Commons and who was elected through a process that was significantly compromised by non-citizens and by foreign state actors. And so that's why I think, that's why I'm very concerned, not just about some of the evidence that we've heard here in front of the Commission with respect to party nominations, but also how it relates to the appointment of heads of government, particularly the appointment of a Prime Minister by the Governor General.
Who is responsible for disqualifying 250,000 registered voters? The Trudeau Liberals have always rigged the system to protect their own power. They're doing it right now by proroguing Parliament in the middle of a tariff crisis so that they can replace Trudeau. But this time, it's about more than just a party leadership race. It's about whether Canada's next Prime Minister is being chosen by the people who want to be involved in the process or by Liberal Party insiders and foreign interests. Elections Canada, CSIS, and the RCMP all need to do a forensic audit immediately, demand transparency, and sign the petition at auditcarney.com. Canadians need to know the next Prime Minister, whether we like him or not, is legitimate. That is, if Elections Canada can pull some manpower off hunting for illegal books written by journalists critical of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid.
Yeah, that was Rebel Media, Rebel News there for that interesting story. I was watching a bit of that today. I'm thinking this would be great for the podcast, just to tell my Liberal followers, if there is any, out there. Make a long story short, we can smell the bullshit. Okay, so between now and tomorrow, we're going to have a new PM, an insert, by the name of King Carney, and his Blarney bullshit. Wow, right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to Tariffs, Tantrums, and Election Fraud, episode 348. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and I hope you're enjoying yourself so far. Hope you have had a good week thus far. This part of the country in Alberta, it's been pretty mild. A nice average day of about +3, +4. I'm already seeing people outside with their shorts on, which is nice. But where I work, it's covered in mud and manure. And don't get any sick ideas out there about the mud. I did have a thing for mud wrestling at one time in my youth. But needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's all work. It's all getting things done. Anyhow, so you've heard it, and Rebel Media, as far as I'm concerned, is a trusted source because they've done more in exposing things, especially during the convoy, than any mainstream media too. And David the Menzies was down in Mississauga last night or yesterday, I believe. It was 2 nights ago. Anyhow, and a lot of independent media journalists were kicked out of the Carney entourage because, $1,000 a head, $1,000 a plate, and he gets to pick and choose what media can be there, which I think is pretty shitty considering this country likes to pride itself on freedom of the press. But anyhow, it's just all bullshit. But I wanted to share a couple of videos with my last night's episode because technology. So I'm going to replay them again anyway for you, ladies and gentlemen. We're seeing the truth come out of the cracks here. Now we all know who Elizabeth May is. She's the Green Party leader. She's been out of the Green Party, then came back to the Green Party, and I guess she had a stroke. That's what the story is. Needless to say, I just think she's a raging alcoholic, an old hippie that believes that socialism was just misunderstood. But here's something that Juno News put together, Candace Malcolm's new service there too. I posted on my X feed. If you want to follow me there on X too, feel free to, ladies and gentlemen. I put this on my X feed and listen carefully to what Miss May has to say. Okay, listen carefully to what she has to say about certain things. You might miss it, but really listen carefully. It's only a minute and a half long, ladies and gentlemen, but please pay attention to her ill-tempered sentiment and her BS unification stance. Okay. And I don't trust this lady. I'm all for looking after the environment properly, but we don't need a green party to govern us, you know. And she also has been seen in other photographs wearing a WEF badge, But like I said, ladies, you decide.
We have been in conversation with different levels of insiders within the Liberal Party, the New Democratic Party. We've talked to colleagues in Parliament. What kind of interest would there be in listening to the voices of Canadians, like the grassroots group that has sprung up of Cooperate for Canada, who want to see parties sit down and talk to each other?
Have another drink, Liz.
About how we can potentially cooperate across this country and be able to have that common resolve that survives an election, be able to envision a parliament that functions well together, taking on the threats that Canada faces.
How about some Ryan Ginger? All the ginger.
To do that, we wanted to make this press conference today a public commitment to being willing to talk to other parties, to talk about what it takes in a perverse first past the post voting system to remind Canadians that we don't elect a prime minister in this country. We elect a parliament. There are currently 5 parties in the House of Commons. And if we were to find a way to cooperate, we could ensure at least that neither one of the big parties gets a false majority with 100% of the power with less than 50% of public support. There are many examples in past history of Canada, but the main thing is we won't get cooperation if we don't even sit down to
I better get me some of that safe supply before they run out.
talk about it.
Yeah, really, really. Come on now. Come on now. What is that? Huh? Really? What Canadians want, Canadians want. Did you hear her? How she's saying what Canadians want? So if there's an election, let's say in May, and rumor has it it will happen in May, okay? Rumor has it, don't quote me on this, okay? She wants to merge the parties to be against the Conservatives. So if the majority of the country votes for a new Conservative government, she wants to rally against that government because Canadians want that. That's what I got out of it. Can you say socialism? Can you say real fascism? Can you say borderline crazy communism? Totalitarianism, right? Isn't that? She's full of shit, right? She blamed the boomer generation for the plight of the planet, and yet she is involved with the WEF. What's that tell you, right? Again, some people's kids. I'm just I shake my head at her too. I'm just so fucking fed up, with these fake leaders. They say they wanna make a change, they wanna make but it's all about control, okay? The narrative. You heard what Miss Gunn Reid said about, uh, how things have to be put in place. Heard Miss May talk about how we should get along because Canadians want this. Well, the past 9 years, Canadians have wanted wonderful things, and yet you were part of a government that did fuck all, right? Now, get this though too, come the 1st of April, regardless of election is called or not, okay, carbon tax goes up, okay? According to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, the MPs pay raises go up too. So a backbenching MP, just someone who's elected and sits in the back, is not appointed to any kind of position or a part of any cabinet, just some member of parliament who has a seat, who sits his or her ass down and just go, no, 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 right? They're gonna get $211,000 a year now. $211,000 a year just to sit there and go yay or nay and vote and stand by your leader. It doesn't matter what party you're in. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're Le Bloc, NDP, Liberal, Conservative, or Independent. Okay, that would be the base salary. Now, when I look at my pay, I got a pay raise there a few months back, an extra buck an hour, and I'm grateful for that. Right, that's helped me put a little more gas into my truck and have a couple more food items in my fridge. Okay, and maybe pay a bill ahead on time or instead of the day before. But, I think you see my point because I think a lot of us here who watch my podcast, we are in the same boat, okay? Now you get these leaders who get an automatic pay raise. Governor General got a pay raise here a few months back to an extra whopping $15,000 a year. Well, here's an extra 1,000 plus for you, my dear, and a new wardrobe. Oh my, oh goodness, add more to your portfolio. Right? And now you've got elected officials, and I don't care who's listening to this. If any elected official is listening and watching this podcast, okay, put your ear to the microphone, put your ear to the speaker and listen up. I highly suggest you give at least two-thirds of that away to charity or give it to some noble cause. A lot of vets out there are hurting. There's noble cause. A lot of First Nation reservations need some upgrades in their plumbing and their water. That's a noble cause. How about the fentanyl issues in the streets and the homeless? Okay. I watched a podcast from, Fringe there, Derek out of Calgary. He's got a great podcast. He's got a great little video series. And he was talking about how he would drive down Calgary with his wife, and he'd see families on the streets. Families, okay? It doesn't matter if they're white, black, First Nations, Asian, it doesn't families, mother, a father, 2 little kids on the street. So I highly suggest that some of you MPs out there that are gonna be happy to go to the bank with your new pay raise come April 1st, okay? Maybe you should look in the city that you're from and fucking do something notable. Because you've had 3 months off thus far, right? You've had 6 weeks off for Christmas plus another month and a half because of prorogation. Not to mention you get, practically 3 almost 4 months off in the summer, right? And you get another big fucking raise. Must be nice, eh? Must be nice. And then now we got tax season coming up too, right? So I guess we better file or else, eh? Because we got to pay that debt. Interesting. Well, you can't call an election soon enough.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Tariffs, Tantrums, and Election Fraud. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Hope all is well. You know, I don't mean to get emotional there, but I just get annoyed with this contradiction where we see all politicians talk about this side this and this side that, and yet they're more willing to take a pay raise. Now, I think this is number 6 in the pay raises since 2020 or 2019. 6 pay raises. I've had 3, all a buck an hour, a buck up more, right? So everyone's pining about Carney. Everybody's pining about International Women's Day. And yesterday, they had a shootout at a place called Piper Arms in Toronto, just after the Liberal government proposed another ban on the pew-pews, right? So you can see the calls of desperation before things turn, because I really, really hope that they get back to Parliament prior to the 24th of March and they get something on the go to stop this fucking madness. Okay. There's a lot of people I've served with, a lot of people I know personally that are hunters, collectors, and sport shooters. And now the Liberal government has made us instant criminals again. Progress, right? We'll fight for Canada. We'll fight for you. We love you so much. Liars. Liars. Anyway, here's Mr. Sparkle Socks. Oh my God. Some people's children, I say. Here's Mr. Sparkle Socks in his tear-jerking little goodbye, right, that he made a few days back. You know, like, I was gonna have this in my episode last night, but, like I said, I'll put the captions on for you, ladies and gentlemen, so you can really, really hear and identify the authenticity and what he's really, really trying to say and really, truly trying to express to us, the plebes, the taxpayers, the people that paid his fucking salary. Anyway, enjoy.
On a personal level, I've made sure that every single day in this office, I put Canadians first, that I have people's backs. And that's why I'm here to tell you all that we got you. Even in the very last
Yes, you certainly had our backs and our fucking wallets.
days of this government, we will not let Canadians down today and long into the future. Because in the past few weeks, we've been working with our provincial and territorial partners to make sure that families can rely on this system, not just for years to come, but will allow this system to lock in, to become something that no government, a year from now, 5 years,
Oh my God.
years from now, 20 years from now, could ever go back on. And it's hard to do.
Look at all of them shaking their heads in the background. That girl there in the bun, she can't decide who's looking at her or not.
Because there is nothing one government can't do that can't be undone by the following government. Unless Canadians are very clear on the need to keep this going. So we are going to make sure that more Canadians over the coming years understand that childcare is a foundational building block of what it means to be Canadian, like healthcare or social programs or cheering at a Canadian anthem. Today, we have great news to share. We've reached a deal with 11 of 13 provinces and territories to extend current early learning and childcare agreements until March 2031.
Liar! What a lion sack of hammers. I was, right? Oh, look at the social programs we have and the childcare and the medication program we have. Yeah, prophylactics and diabetic medication. Now, there's diabetics I know that could use a boost in that, But there's other people I have met throughout my life and my career that have ailments or they need medication, and they're paying out of pocket for some of them. So, as far as I'm concerned, your medication plan sucked, Justin. Your childcare plan sucked, Justin, and you gotta have a constant flow of cash to help these social programs, which you've denied Canadians past 9 years with your cancelization of, pipelines, resource free markets, that is too. And with these tariffs, say goodbye to your chance of having a good free market, pal. Okay. So while you're sitting there worrying about what Donald Trump is saying and what people are saying about your hair and your fucking socks, you better start paying attention to what the people are saying because Carney's going to carry it. I guarantee it.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tariffs, tantrums, and election fraud. That's right. A lot of tantrums more on my part than I presented to you. But of course, we're seeing more politicians kicking certain media moguls out, independent media, especially, like I said, a little tantrum there. Mark Carney's point of view there, too. He just doesn't like other opinions. And of course, Trudeau and his emotional, tear jerking soap opera bullshit. Okay, it doesn't phase me. And it shouldn't phase you, ladies and gentlemen. It shouldn't phase you at all under any circumstance. Okay. It's just it's getting ridiculous every time we turn around. Every time we turn around. Now, after tomorrow, let's say come Monday, is Trudeau still gonna be lingering somewhere in the background, in the woodwork? Is he gonna be around? Is he? Is he? What other plans are in store for us too? They keep talking about the drug issue, and they keep talking about the fentanyl issue, and yet they made a big bust a few months back in Kelowna, and according to my friend Frank Vaughn, okay, only maybe 1 or 2 people were arrested during that, and it was a big little factory they made, a little factory to make all these wonderful little things these can have, right? And yet, you don't hear any more about that. I'd like to hear more about the, shooting that happened in Toronto there at Piper Arms, I believe the pub was called, right? Now, of course, that individual, there's a page there, I forget. It was on my Instagram feed. I read it briefly, but, there's some stories you can find on the mainstream media about it too. But it just seems ironic that happened just after Liberals added more bans on the pew-pews, right? Interesting. Interesting indeed. I know time will tell. We'll see after tomorrow, see what happens, see what the outrage will be and what kind of promotion they're going to have. And let's hope they call an election. Let's hope they get their asses back to Parliament, as they should, because they are getting a new raise next month, right? The backbenchers are getting, $211,000 a year now to do what? So does that mean the cabinet ministers and the shadow cabinet ministers are going up again too? So from 263 to what? Almost to 300 grand? Interesting, eh? Interesting. God, I would like to make $211,000. That would solve a lot of problems for me and members of my family. But hey, who am I to cry? Anyhow, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 8th of March, 2025. I wish good things for you all out there too. If I don't get any videos up for you tomorrow night, I will definitely try again for Monday. So pay attention there for Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be shy. Uh, if you want updates, it's also my community page on the YouTube, and I try to add updates as I can on my Facebook page too. So don't be shy there too. Please, if you see this live, give me a comment, give me a thumbs up, tell me where you're writing from. There's a lot of people out there that keep telling me the same thing, and that's great. I appreciate that. But every time I see a premiere, I see about 25 people that eventually come on. So don't be shy, folks. Let me know where you're writing from. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do for a living. Just be real, be honest. Let me know you're there and give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Give me a comment. My contact information is in my description too. If you feel like donating, please consider donating. Every little bit helps. 'Cause you might need one of these. So if you do donate, that might help you a long way. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, like I said, I've been Crusty Canuck since 8th of March, 2025. I wish wonderful things for you out there too. Enjoy the weather. Don't get cocky though, 'cause you might get stuck. It's pretty sloppy out there. Mind your manners and mind your P's and Q's around the road. Do what you can to help you out these trying times and help your neighbors out and help yourself out from time to time too. And just keep your chin up and do your best just to be good to people and don't take any more crap, these so-called leaders. Okay? It's not Trump's fault. It's Trudeau's. And like I always say, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, folks. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.